Last July, when Emmanuel Macron was economy minister in François Hollande's government, and his barely hidden presidential ambitions were dismissed as naive fantasy by the political class, he held his first rally at a smart venue on Paris' left bank. Before the crowds arrived, he took the stage to rehearse his speech in front of a handful of volunteers from his new political movement En Marche, or On the Move. On neither right nor left grouping, he said, would revolutionize French politics. "We are the party of hope," he told the almost empty auditorium, captured by the filmmaker Pierre Hurel, who was discreetly documenting his rise. A voice interjected, "Your voice is falling. You need to lift your voice." Brigitte Macron, his wife, was giving him advice as if a theater director to an actor on stage. "What's wrong, darling? Are there bits that are too long?" He gently asked her about another speech. "Brigitte tells me I always go on too long," he once told a crowd. Brigitte Macron's advice on stagecraft, honed as a school drama coach, has been central to the French presidential frontrunner's thunderous performances at rallies during the presidential campaign. He met her when he was a 15-year-old pupil, and she a 40-year-old drama teacher running his school theater club. Now that Macron, an independent centrist, is favorite to win the presidency against the far-right Front National's Marine Le Pen next weekend, he wants to go further than any other president before him in giving his wife an official role. If elected, he will hold a consultation to define the ambiguous status of First Lady in France, and draw up an official job description for the first time. Brigitte Macron won't be paid by the taxpayer, he promised this week, but he said that as president, the person who lives with you must have a role. Brigitte Macron knows better than anyone else the pitfalls of being a partner at the Elysée Palace, where spouses have never had an official role. Macron was deputy chief of staff at the presidential palace in 2014 when Hollande was photographed sneaking out on a motorbike to meet a lover. The president's jilted partner, the journalist Valérie Trierweiler, published a damning tell-all account of their relationship's implosion, with catastrophic consequences for his image. In private, Brigitte Macron, 64, a French literature and Latin teacher who has always worked at exclusive Jesuit schools, would rather the media stop obsessing about the 5-year age gap with her husband, which is roughly the same as between Donald Trump and his wife Melania, with the genders reversed. Like her husband, Brigitte Trogneau, known as Bibi, was born in the northern city of Amiens in the Somme. Both are from a bourgeois backgrounds. She was the youngest of 6 children. Her closest brother was 20 years older, in a family that has been the city's most famous chocolate makers and confectioners for generations. At 20, she married André Louis Auxerre, who later became a banker, and they had 3 children. She briefly worked as a press officer in the Chamber of Commerce of the Pas-de-Calais area, training as a teacher, and taking a post at the prestigious private Jesuit school in Amiens. When Brigitte Auxerre first met Macron, her middle daughter was in his class at school. She never taught him, but ran the school theater group where he was an aspiring actor, and they adapted a play together. "I never considered him a pupil," she told the writers Caroline Darin and Candice Nedelik, who recently published the first book about the couple, Les Macron. When word began to spread about the time they were spending together, Macron was sent away by his parents' 6th form at a prestigious lycée in Paris to create a distance. But the relationship never stopped. More than a decade later, after divorcing her husband, she and Macron married. Their wedding took place at the town hall of the smart northern beach resort of La Touquette, where she inherited a grand villa that is now their second home. Macron made a wedding speech thanking Brigitte's family and children for standing by them. He said they were not a normal couple, even if I don't like that word, but we're a couple that exists. Brigitte's 7 grandchildren don't call Macron grandpa, but use the English word daddy. Brigitte Macron first appeared on the public scene when her husband was appointed economy minister in the socialist government in 2014. At first, she maintained her teaching job at one of Paris's most elite Catholic schools, telling pupils, "You'll hear remarks, true and false. I'll never talk about them." Then in 2015, she quit, saying she wanted to support his career. She appeared at his ministerial diary planning meetings and became a regular fixture at the ministry, where the couple had a flat. Macron told surprised journalists, "Her view matters to me." He implied her presence beside him was non-negotiable. One can't work when one's not happy. When her husband was minister, Brigitte Macron, whose key interests are literature and education, would regularly attend Paris theaters and fashion shows. She also helped him network, at one point reportedly even organizing 2 dinners a night. Her constant presence has persisted into his presidential bid. She is very protective of him, one campaign insider said. Macron opted to be photographed with his wife in organized paparazzi shots, pushing his private life into the spotlight in a way not seen since the right-wing Nicolas Sarkozy decided to imitate the Kennedys by inviting the cameras into his second marriage to his wife Cecilia. Their very public divorce. For Macron, photographs with Brigitte were a way of setting himself apart and making himself known. Her presence on numerous celebrity magazine covers, holding hands with him on holiday or walking down the beach in swimwear, sparked a fascination and curiosity for their unconventional relationship, allowing him to grab the attention of everyday voters. It worked. Magazine sales would soar every time she was on the cover. With the publicity, however, came speculation about their relationship. Rumors grew, helped by quips from certain political opponents, that Macron had a secret gay relationship. Journalists searched but found no evidence it was true. Macron then publicly denied it. He recently said, "The gay rumors were an example of the rampant homophobia in French society, as well as the rampant misogyny against older women. If I was 20 years older than my wife, no one would have questioned it being a legitimate relationship," he told readers of Le Parisien. "It's only because my wife is 20 years older than me that people say it's not tenable." The French economist Marc Ferracci, who was best man at their wedding and is now on Macron's campaign team, said, "They are not a conventional couple, but they fell in love 20 years ago and it has lasted. Their story is very simple. You just have to accept that people can fall in love and it's so intense that it lasts." It is not clear how Brigitte Macron wants to shape her First Lady role. At a rally at Strasbourg in October, she said her place was at her husband's side. "I've been involved in everything at his side for 20 years. You always seem surprised that spouses are beside their husbands. It's time for things to evolve. That's where we belong." Potted profile. Age 64. Born 13 April 1953. Career: teacher of French literature and Latin at private Catholic secondary schools in France. School theater coach. High point: appearing on stage with her husband after he topped the first round of the French presidential election while his supporters chanted Brigitte, Brigitte. Low point: disapproval from her older siblings when she decided to leave her first husband. She said her family later fully backed her relationship with Macron. What she says: I was captivated by his intelligence. What he says: we don't have a classic family. That's an undeniable reality. But there is no less love in our family.